Hey everyone, it's Friday. That means another podcast is going to be dropping. Guest this week is going to be Peter Lam. Also have some news coming at you right now. Harrisburg University, they've dropped their League of Legends team roster and their Overwatch team roster. I'm going to talk a little bit about League of Legends because I know that more than I do Overwatch. Overwatch, I'm just going to give my experience about watching Storm last year and how I feel about it. Other than that, I'm not going to get too in depth with it because I'm not very familiar with Overwatch. That's just it's just my upbringing. That's how my mom raised me. League of Legends, though. So they're bringing an 11-man roster, which is going to be interesting because Maryville University, they kind of upped the ante by bringing a 10-man roster. And Harrisburg, they thought, hey, we'll just bring 11. No worries. They have a third mid. There's two people in each position, except for mid where there's third. They have High Key, Hopeful, and Leica Maz. That one's going to be interesting. That has a lot of flexibility play in that mid lane, which means they might be putting a lot of cards in that mid. Now, back at the Midwest Campus Clash, where Harrisburg University just dominated everybody and actually upset in the finals, it's only upset because they didn't make it to LA for the League of Legends Championship run. They lost. They didn't even make it to their conference finals in the East. They lost, I believe, in the quarterfinals, and it was shocking that in Midwest Campus Clash, something happened and they just flipped a switch and dominated. Shorter Ace was part of that domination. He was a monster in that series, in that tournament. So it's going to be interesting. They have a lot of cards in the mid lane, but you can't forget about Shorter Ace in that jungle. Also, head coach X Special. Last year he wasn't in person to coach them. This year, I believe he's moved over to Harrisburg University, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and he's doing hands-on coaching now with their League of Legends team. So I expect Harrisburg University to be able to have all the tools in their arsenal to be able to definitely combat what they did last year, but also carry on the legacy that they left at Midwest Campus Clash and hopefully show up and dominate in the East Side. Other than that, here's their Overwatch team as well. Like I said, I'm not extraordinarily familiar with them. I do recognize some of them, Retina being the Retina and Joe Meister, I should say, being the two that I do recognize. Retina I follow on Twitter. I believe he follows me back. Thank you very much, Retina. But this team, so this is obviously Harrisburg University Esports. They're a new team in general. Last year, though, they went up against Maryville University at their Hue Fest, and Maryville University's Overwatch team was coming in looking to be a juggernaut, and Harrisburg University took them to the very last map in that tournament. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. It was a fantastic set. And again, I'm not a huge Overwatch person whatsoever, but it was quite entertaining for me even without having that much knowledge of Overwatch. I had played Overwatch. I knew about the I don't know, what do they call them, operator heroes in there. I don't know. I knew about the characters, and of course, Hex and Uber, they made it quite entertaining as well. And it was a really fantastic matchup. It was entertaining if you're into competitive esports. It was entertaining nonetheless, even if you don't watch Overwatch like me. It was very fascinating because Harrisburg University shocked everybody by making it all the way to the finals and taking Maryville University, who, like I said, was heavily favored to win all the way to the very last map. In other news, UCI Esports, that is University of California, Irvine, they are going to be adding scholarships for Smash. So that's going to be very exciting. I don't feel like there's enough focus, enough spotlight on the Super Smash Brothers circuit. CSL did a pretty big tournament last year. That was a pretty decent success for us from what I recall, and I say us because I worked for them last year. Technically, I'm not contracted with them right now, but that was a very... at least from the outside perspective, that was a pretty big success for us. So I hope it gets bigger, and I hope CSL continues to keep doing it. They actually have an article on their website, cstarleague.com. You can go to their Smash section of their website. They have a brief interview with UCI adding scholarships for Smash players. I took that right off their Twitter. You can go check out UCI Esports' Twitter for more information. You can also go find that article at, again, cstarleague.com or head over to their Twitter at cstarleague. So that's going to be very exciting. I like to see more Smash. A lot of people play it. A lot of my friends play it. And I think it should be, more recognized as an actual esport, especially in the collegiate scene. Speaking of CSL, they are hiring. You can also go check that out on the website. They're hiring for a plethora of positions, so I'm not going to go through all of them. You can go check them out yourself, but it's a great way to get into esports. Collegiate esports, obviously, is a great avenue into the professional side if you want to do that, and it's also a great way to earn credits if you are in school and want a side project or something to, again, work and get credits for. Collegiate Star League, they've been there helping out collegiate students for, I don't know, for years, literally years, almost a decade, probably a decade. It's almost been a decade, I think. But either way, go check that out. Again, cstarleague.com. My guest this week is the co-founder of RIT Esports, that's Rochester Institute of Technology over in New York. His name is Peter Lam. He's graduated from there, or at least I don't know if he's graduated from there. He's moved on from there. Yeah, he did graduate. Yeah, we talk about it. We talk about it in the podcast. He actually did graduate, but he actually lives in Vegas now, and I live in Vegas now. And we're gonna go get lunch sometime soon. This whole conversation. So I started out, I was like, I don't really know this guy that well, but apparently we have a very long history that I did not know about, and he was somewhat privy to, and I felt horrible because I should have known him. I should have known more about him. We followed each other on Twitter for a long time. He's always been in the sphere of my recognition. I always see him. I don't really know much about him. I don't reach out to him at all, but co-founder of RIT was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I have a podcast. Might as well invite him in. And I think actually he wanted to collab too. So we worked that out, and it was a great conversation. We learned a lot about each other, and it was really good. I'm really happy that he was on the show. Really positive dude. I point that out too, how I'm extraordinarily cynical, and this dude is just constant positivity on his Twitter. Something I cannot manage, and I envy that he does. And I think he's a better person for it. So it's a good conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Here it is. All right, sweet. How do I know you? So I know this is weird.
Actually, I've kind of been wondering the same thing, because I think we've known each other for like so long that we kind of just forgot the origins of it.
Yeah, that happens on Twitter, especially the collegiate scene, because like people come and go in the collegiate scene so much. I mean, either they graduate, or they're in and then just they don't do anything with it or anything like that. But you stuck around, and I've always noticed you, and now we live in the same city. You're the second person that's been on my podcast that lived in the same city, coincidentally. And I'm starting to realize that Vegas is just a really cool place to live now.
Holy shit. Wait, you live in Vegas?
I do. We've talked.
Did we ever talk about?
I feel like we've mentioned it before.
We have?
I think.
Because I would have definitely asked you to go out to lunch with me.
I think you may have. I think you actually did, and like I'm being honest. I'm kind of a hobbit. I'm a very antisocial unless I like gear myself up, and it's absolutely no offense to you. I'm just very antisocial because like I have three esports friends, well, acquaintances and friends in Vegas. I've only seen one of them, and I've been here for 2 years, and he's been here about the same time, and I've only met him like 3 times in person, like to go eat and stuff. Over the last 2 years. So that's just kind of how introverted I am. And one of them was because I was like really depressed. And I was like, dude, you want to talk? You want to go hang out and distract my mind or something? And he was like super cool with it. He's an Overwatcher. He's not in Collegiate anymore. He used to do Overwatch at TESPA, and now he does just Overwatch, whatever he does. He was just in Germany recently, I think, trying out for that. But yeah, no, it's no offense to you whatsoever. It's just I think you did ask or suggest to go to lunch. And I'm just a real introvert. Like, I will not reach out to somebody unless I'm like super sad and just want to distract myself. And I feel bad doing that, but that's just kind of my reality. But no, I think you did.
I completely understand.
Yeah. So I was actually wondering. So not only was I wondering like how do we know each other, because this isn't the first time this has happened, by the way. Either in person, in social media, or my podcast, because I had one dude on here and I started out the exact same way. I was like, how do we know each other? Because I follow people in collegiate scene no matter what, or have roots in collegiate scene no matter what, because it's just good to know the environment, good to know people no matter what, like know that they exist, because that's the thing you work in. But at the same time, it's like I don't really reach out to all of them. And I think I think you're right. We followed each other a long time ago. I don't remember why. Like, all right.
So, do you want to backtrack a little bit?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, I did work for CSL at one point in time.
See,
did you also?
Yeah, I've worked for CSL for like 6 years. That makes me feel even worse.
Okay, I think that's where it came from, because I did end up becoming the community manager for the Dota 2 CSL for a while.
Okay, that's why we weren't acquainted. But like, but that's where we know each other. We were probably in the same Slack.
We were probably in the same chat. This was Skype. This was when Skype, we were still using Skype.
Oh, so it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
this is
man.
when I think Brittany and Kirsten,
Yeah.
Teresa was all still working there.
Yeah, I still talk to all of them.
Yeah.
Not so much Brittany. I wish I talked to Brittany more, but she has her own life and she's doing well for herself. So like,
Oh yeah, she recently got back into esports, so I'm really happy for her.
she recently got back into it because she just stopped like about 3 months ago.
Wait, are we talking about the same one? The one that works for Team Liquid?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, she got back onto it. No, she stopped like a year ago, and then recently, like I think like maybe a month ago, she posted that she's getting back into it.
Oh, I'm reading her tweet right now. How did I miss this?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
well,
she
Mazel
she's
Tov.
back.
Good for
She's
her.
back on the horse.
Yeah, good for her. I'm glad she has a place in Team Liquid. Like I always love seeing people go beyond, and everyone that you've mentioned has went beyond. Brittany is obviously Team Liquid. Kirsten works at PlayStation for doing Sony Esports division in there.
Yep.
And Teresa, she was the social media manager for Harrisburg University Storm, and I believe she's freelancing right now. Still just picking up that, gravitating around the esports scene, but also doing things outside of it, which is kind of what I do. So, man, yeah. Oh, so we go way back.
Ah, so that's where it came from. Yeah,
We go.
I had a hunch it was from CSL, but I just had to make sure.
I didn't. I'm sorry, man. I didn't know you were. So
No, no problem.
being in the league sphere of things, I rarely got in touch with Dota, but like I know people from Dota and I've made friends with them over the years. But back then, I was like really shy. Like I didn't know. I just wanted to do my job and make sure I didn't do it wrong, because I was so paranoid. That was when I was breaking indie. Man, oh wow. You and I go back years then.
Yeah, like I think
And now
2013, 2014.
now I want to get lunch with you. No offense, but like I like
No,
now that we
no,
like
no
have that
offense
common,
taken.
now that we have that in common, I'm like, man, I should have got lunch with you. Let's get lunch sometime.
Mm,
This is me.
for sure, let's do that.
This is me suggesting it, so I think I'm actually gonna be serious about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after this podcast. We'll figure out where we're gonna go.
Awesome. Yeah, man, Vegas has so many good places. Dude,
Oh,
Vegas.
trust me, I know. I
Yeah.
spent way too much money eating out the first few months I moved here.
Oh yeah. Well, that's kind of how I So I moved to Atlanta a while back. Well, I moved to Vegas from Atlanta. I'm not from Atlanta, but I moved to Atlanta at one time. And one of the way my wife and I got used to the place was taking an Uber around and just going to different restaurants that we wanted to go in different areas of the city, because Atlanta's absolutely huge. It's like an enormous city. So that's one of the ways we got used to it. And that's one of the ways we started doing that. We started doing that in Vegas too. But we lived when we moved here, we moved to Mountain's Edge. We lived in Mountain's Edge, like South Vegas, and so we couldn't make it up to the Strip that often. But we recently moved over to not Summerlin, but really close to Summerlin. I think they call it Spring Mountain, Spring Valley.
Spring Valley, yeah, Spring Valley. That's the side where I live. So
Yeah.
we're
So
pretty
we probably
to
live
each other,
close.
yeah.
Yeah, we probably live close to each other. Well, shit.
Yeah. Small world.
Incredibly small. Yeah. So I don't know if you know this about me. I do psychedelics sometimes, and I'm gonna really reflect on this, because like, what a small world we really live in. We go way back. I didn't know you existed in CSL, and now we live in the same city, and I've been totally aware of you for months and over a year now. Wow. Ah, God, I love finding things to reflect on.
Yeah, right. It's crazy.
Yeah. No
a lot
worries.
a lot of people within esports I've noticed are starting to move to Vegas.
It's way cheaper than it's a great alternative to California. That's actually
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I moved here, is because like I can't afford California. I want to kind of be there, but at the same time, I don't want to live in poverty just to, I don't want to break my back just to live like right above poverty. I'd rather, like, if I had to break my back, like Vegas, you can live pretty decently.
Exactly, and we're close enough to drive to LA. It's only 4 hours away, so
It's
it's not bad.
so
If you need to
good.
go to LA, then you just go.
Not to mention, there's so many camping spots around here. Like this weekend, I'm going to Zion National Park up in Utah. I think it's Utah.
Oh yeah, yep. That
Yeah.
you can camp, you can hike. I
Yeah.
think the only downside to Vegas is pretty much just the summers. Like
It's brutal.
it's really hot.
Yeah.
Like it burns your skin sometimes when you walk out and it's really hot. But I
Yeah.
mean, other than that, like the rest of the year is really nice.
Yeah, I actually really love it
Yeah.
here.
I do too.
How long have you been here?
About 2 years.
Okay, so same as me.
Yeah,
Almost,
I graduated from college at around 2017.
RIT?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, and then straight out, I moved here.
Fascinating. So what did you move here
Yeah.
for? Like, what brought you here?
Well, my aunt lives here,
Okay.
and I could live. I was able to live with her for free, so it was just a place to move to. Because where I was originally living in Connecticut, and I wasn't born and raised in Connecticut. I only went up there for like my last 2 years of high school, and then went up to RIT. But it's a quaint little town. I like it, but there wasn't really much of a career opportunity over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I would move to Vegas. I missed the sun anyways. I actually got tired of the snow, like living 8 years in the East Coast. So I decided I needed a change of pace. And because I went to Vegas every summer to visit anyways, she was like, yeah, just come live with me.
Yeah,
That's what
fair.
we did.
Fair.
Yeah.
I love this city. This is so far. So I lived in Cincinnati, Gulfport, Atlanta, also Springfield, Missouri. Well, I mean Forsyth, Missouri, and now Vegas. I've been to various other places. So far, Vegas has been by far, by a long, long margin, my favorite city. I always have a very special place for Cincinnati because that's where I grew up. But Vegas, I love this city. I do picture myself moving here because I'm a nomad. But
Hmm.
man, I will always come back here. I will have a very special place for Vegas in my heart because this is a really cool city. I mean, I do anything here.
Yeah, and I know you're kind of a, you say you're kind of a nomad, but one of the biggest perks to living in Vegas is that all your friends come visit you.
Yeah,
You never have to fly out to visit anybody because eventually they'll find themselves in Vegas.
that's very true. And even if they've never been to Vegas or they're not, well, because I have friends I have very few friends outside of gaming, but
Mhm.
even them, like if they haven't been to Vegas, they want to go to Vegas just to check it out. And since I'm here, I think that's just another
Like
perk for
you're
them.
their guide. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Oh man, so cool. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was like prepping for this a little bit. I was like, I mean, he's from RIT. What do I talk about? I mean, he's in Vegas. Obviously, we can talk about that. Man, this is blowing my expectations away. So that's awesome. All right. So what are you doing in Vegas, man? Like, what else are you doing here?
Me, man, I'm doing a lot. So
Yeah,
I
you seem busy. I see your posts a lot, and I see they're always inspirational things like that. So like,
oh, thank
and
you.
I know you're
I
like
try to
busy.
be.
Yeah, no, good job. I mean, I'm not that I don't do it enough. I'm actually quite cynical. So like, I do appreciate your presence on my life and
Well, that's
my social media sphere.
that's why there's a balance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you doing here?
So
Yeah.
all right. So in Vegas, I kind of freelanced around for a little bit, working with and helping out different esports organizations. Uh, I'm heavily involved in the FGC here,
Okay.
so I play competitively in
Yeah.
the local scene.
Were you at
So
Evo?
yeah, I was at Evo.
Of course you were at Evo. I was at Evo.
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh man,
I know.
it's okay. It's okay. We we have a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so I working freelance, doing production here and there. Found myself eventually working for a company called OGN. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
Yeah, the
They're
broadcasting company?
Yep, they're very big in Korea.
Yeah.
They just started their own venture in the US with PUBG, and their studios in LA. And I found myself having a job opportunity there to do player handling, helping out with production there, and various other things. So I was in and out of Vegas, traveling to and from LA for a while, for about like a good from starting from like February up until now. And after that, I decided not to go back for the reason of I wanted to pursue my own thing.
Okay.
But it was a really good learning opportunity. I made a lot of friends there, and they're always happy to have me back. But I decided I didn't want to do the traveling thing, and because I mean I was making money, which was nice, but I found what I really wanted to do in life, my mission, and that is to help people out and educate people, specifically within esports. So what I'm pursuing now, like this is what I'm doing full time, hardcore, all in, is doing creating an esports education platform to kind of teach and show people what goes on in esports behind the scenes, the different careers that are out there and career opportunities, and
Yeah.
how to get your career started in whatever avenue you want to within esports. And then the second part, by helping people, I'm doing a lot of consulting, creative consulting within esports, so specifically branding at the moment.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've seen you talk about
Yeah.
I've seen you talk about branding and knowing your clientele. So, How are you going about that? Are you creating a curriculum, or are you teaming up with anybody from UNLV to try to get a curriculum going there, or anything like that, or is this more of just your independent sort of business business venture that you're doing, and just kind of doing everything yourself?
Yeah, most of it I'm doing everything myself. But I'm going to be collaborating with a bunch of people within the industry. So I also have a podcast too, if you don't mind me
Do it.
plugging it a little bit.
I'll even link in the description below.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the platform or the brand is called Hansei, Hansei, and it in Japanese it means improvement through self-reflection.
Okay.
And so what most of the education stuff is on that platform right there, and it's all content. And I collaborate with other people. I talk to them about, where they came from in esports, how they get to where they are, tips on how to come into the industry for that specific career path. And that's a collaborative effort right now through the podcast. And I'm going to be starting to put out my own content, teaching people a little bit more in depth about these roles that I'm learning about as I go throughout my days, just talking to people, researching myself, and learning from whatever resources that are out there.
Okay. So that sounds interesting. And how long you been at that?
Oh, this was kind of like I thought about this idea for a very long time. I sat on it. I didn't really start executing it until just this year. Sometime maybe around like March was the first episode.
Okay.
And I realized while I was in LA, I was working a lot. I was working almost every single day. And on the days that I did have breaks, I was so tired from working because production isn't easy.
No, it's
That I
not.
couldn't really find time to do my podcast, especially since I didn't have my computer, I didn't have my mic set up, and like everything, right?
Yeah.
So things need to be done correctly, and I wasn't able to do that living out of a hotel room. So that's why it's kind of been on, up on and off type of thing until I moved back, and now I'm committing to it full time.
Well, at least the experience you gain from that. I mean, that's going to add just, to your overall knowledge and
Oh
prowess of
yeah,
it,
yeah.
anyways. Because
I did not know the amount of like work that went behind the scenes in esports productions,
it's
and
pretty
a
intense.
lot more hands on deck than you might think.
Yeah, it can get very intense, and if something goes awry, like you have to fix that immediately, or else it sucks. There's been, I've been with CSL for so long. I've been a part of a few of the live productions for them, and man, I'm glad I'm on air talent because I feel like being on camera and talking about the game and doing all that is far easier than what our other job. Our Well, I mean, last year our coordinator was Daniel Pauly. I never envied him because he had to coordinate all of the games and get everything going. And then one of the production coordinators was I think his name's Peter. Yeah, his name's Peter as well. And man, like the whole stream was pretty much on him, which he had to go to these venues, figure things out, figure out how to hook everything up. Not to mention we had depending on the venue that we had. At one time we were at DreamHack. We had to work out what to do there, and
Hmm.
what was it, like 2 years ago? We were at
The theater, right?
no, that was the one in Canada. I actually wasn't a part of that one because I couldn't get my
Oh,
passport.
okay.
I couldn't get my passport in time, but I heard that one was a little bit tricky too. But the other one was in California, Long Beach, California, and that was the place where I think it's Alt, the apparel. They gear themselves toward gaming apparel. Alt, you ever heard of them?
I might have.
They have like a studio there that they also have I guess I'm not actually sure of the logistics of it all, but they had two large projectors or two of the big screens, kind of like what Esports Arena has down here. I'm
Hmm.
sure you've been inside that. Uh,
Yeah.
Kind of like what they have. They had two of those, and then they had a section in the back for other broadcasts. And bless Peter's heart, he had to figure all that out. And I'm like, I wish I could help, but it's like I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like I would get in the way. I'm more than happy just to be on air talent, because man, going into production and trying to figure all that out is a nightmare. If you can get
It's a
it,
huge logistics game.
yeah, and if you can get it, it's so good on you because that is such a valuable asset to have. It's just being able to
Hmm.
know everything, figure it out, and not to mention think on your feet when something goes wrong, because it inevitably will go wrong, even if it's not outrightly known to the public or seen on stream. there's something that's going to go wrong, and being able to figure that out is so good to have. I mean, that's the same thing with like any university. I mean, universities now are popping up with their own venues or their makeshift venues. Harrisburg University being one of them. They had theirs in a theater, what was it? It was like it was kind of like a theater where you have like plays, had like a stage and everything like that, and the theater had like stage like up like a second floor, like a balcony.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, they had to makeshift all that for their collegiate tournament, Hugh Fest last year. And I was like, man,
Wow,
I
that's
don't
crazy.
I don't want to do any of that. I'd much rather just
Yeah.
be on camera.
As the venues get bigger, the amount of things you have to think about increases.
Oh man.
And man, back in the day when I was still at RIT, I luckily a lot of my experience came from doing stuff in collegiate esports.
Mm-hmm.
It was all pretty much me and a small team of people that helped me out, but I was pretty much the main person who thought of a lot of it when I ran my tournaments. And I ran my tournaments like a league. Like we would start at the beginning of the semester, we would have teams sign up, have different divisions, they would play until finals, and it would be online, so it'd be like a weekly thing. So it was like a mini CSL within my school. And then after that, like for the grand finals, for like the top four, not yeah, for top four grand finals, we had to figure out a venue to basically I forgot what they called, but you basically had to like register your club saying that you're using this venue. You had to rent out the space, I guess.
Yeah, at your college, you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, at the
Yeah.
college. And then you got to figure out the networking in there, the projectors, the sound. Like I bought my own computer setup, multiple monitors, making sure my on-screen talent, like we didn't have any like in-ear IFBs or anything like that for talent to hear. So I had this small monitor, this like 19-inch monitor that would be connected to a laptop with a long ass HDMI cable going all the way over to the other side of the table, and I would type in what was about to happen, like say,
Oh
oh, we're
man.
going to a break, or okay, we're going to the game soon. I would type everything out because I, as production, wasn't able to communicate in ear to them, so they would just have to read everything.
Man.
But in the end, we like all those ghetto solutions. It ended up working out, and a lot of the things that I didn't think about before, because you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
Um, I learned all of that on the fly through various mistakes, and I'm super grateful to have that opportunity.
Yeah, what an evolution all this whole process went through. Because I remember, so the whole typing thing and telling me what's going to happen. Some places that still happens, but it happened more so years ago, especially like CSL. Just or we would be on Skype and someone would be muted at the time. Well, it would be three people on Skype for two casters and then one production person, and that production person would tell us what to do, or they would have themselves muted so they can't be heard on stream. Now you can do that on Discord, but I remember the typing part, and I remember the very first. I don't remember where or when it was. I think it was DreamHack is when I first got like noise in my ear to tell me what to do, and I was like, oh my god, this is so confusing. So but it was like,
Yeah.
in hindsight, it is the most blessed thing in the world having to go from looking at computer screens to typing everything just being told in your ear, because now it's like second nature where I can speak and be spoken to and listen at the same time and execute what I'm being told to do while I'm leading up to that part and somehow thinking of stalling. This is all on air part. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much that goes into it.
And not only that, like recently I learned about, sorry to interrupt, I recently learned
Go for
about
it.
what do you call it, the run of the show.
Yeah.
Having a run of the show too is something that not a lot of people know about, especially like if you're in the collegiate scene, you're kind of fresh and you're just kind of doing stuff on your own. You don't know about that kind of stuff either.
No.
And having some kind of schedule to go by helps out so much, because then you know what to expect.
Well, yeah, schedules. Oh my god, schedules are a blessing too, and I'll be damned if they don't go off the track a little bit. Almost every event. I have not seen a single event that has went strictly 100% by the schedule, but having bullet points to at least get you somewhere is so good to have. But on air talent too. You're talking about collegiate, not really. I guess I don't want to call collegiate unprofessional, but I mean, there's a reason why it's collegiate. It's still pretty grassroots in a lot of areas, despite this whole scholarship thing and more universities taking note of things. But there's still a lot of really green areas that need to be locked down. So, for instance, interviews with college students are some of the most random things, and you don't know what's going to come out of their mouth sometimes because they haven't had any professional training and they haven't had any sort of coaching about marketing or branding or just interviews. So man, you'll get this kid up there that'll say something slightly asinine that you can't put on stream, you can't put on a recording because they just don't know, or that's just how they are, and they don't know how to hide that. So man, I'm that's the part I'm waiting for, because I'm not afraid to interview the high level people because they've been there before. Anyone from Maryville University, they've been there before. They know what it's like to have a camera on them. That's fine. Man, I'm not gonna point any names out, but there's one particular jungler in League of Legends that I refused to interview, and I asked my coworkers not to interview him, and it was at a live event, and then he said he was gonna murder somebody, and I was like, okay, well, don't listen to me. I've only been here longer than all of you, and I know what I'm doing. But no, it's fine. Now you have someone is talking about murdering somebody, even if it's facetious. That's not something you talk about on a professional standing. Professional broadcast. So, oh my gosh, yeah, the evolution of the entire process, front and back of the house, has been amazing to watch, and I'm glad it's getting to a point of professionalism like you're talking about, where we actually have run sheets. Not all collegians do, but most of the collegiate events I've been to do, but it's more like the seasons are a little bit different on that, and the whole broadcast, like the seasonal broadcasts, are a little bit different. Live events, so far, most of them have had some sort of run-of-the-mill, like bullet point. Like I said, going to A to B, it might be a curvy road, but you're going to get there, and that's the goal. As long as you get there, you can go from B to C. But man, yeah, sorry.
We're just growing.
Yeah,
we're still growing.
Oh, man, yeah, and I'm sorry I went on.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it is beautiful because like I've been a part of it. It's been great, man. So I feel like let's go back to RIT for you. How'd you found that? You say you're a co-founder. Your Twitter profile says you're a co-founder. How did that come about? How did you? Because did you find RIT before or after your time in CSL? Like it was RIT Esports, I mean.
Oh, okay. So RIT Esports came about after my time at CSL. It came about during my senior year. But the funny thing about that is that the spirit of RIT Esports goes back way before then, because there was a club called EGS, Electronic Gaming Society, and they've been around for a long time. I think they were established in like 2002 or something like that. And so I was on the executive board for that. I was one of the people that I forgot what the hell I came on for. But I knew I was part of the board, and eventually I got voted. I created my own position in there. I requested to create a esports division of EGS, so it would be EGS Esports. And from there, that's when I would run tournaments. I would communicate with the other gaming clubs, like the League of Legends club. I was the president of the Dota club, so I had myself and any other clubs that wanted to participate in CSL, and I would kind of talk with them and help them like get registered and just make sure that they did what they needed to do in order to play. And that was kind of the way things were for a while. Me just helping people out, helping the teams out, and running tournaments for students within RIT. Come my senior year, things started to pick up because there was this freshman that was very interested in getting an official esports organization within RIT itself, and try to make things more official. So I worked with him on that because I already had something kind of established, and we took the formula, we edited it a little bit, found a person to like an administrator, his name is Chad Whedon, to help us and kind of champion it from the inside. And from there, we just went through the process of learning how to actually get RIT Esports to be a club within RIT. And it wasn't easy, as I learned schools do everything differently from university to university, and so the rules are different. For us, one of the biggest challenges was trying to figure out how we could fit within the student government system, and eventually, at the end of the day, we couldn't do it. because we had to be kind of an inclusive club, which means we weren't able to technically run tryouts. Because if you weren't part of the club, I mean, if you weren't part of a team, you technically wouldn't be part of RIT Esports, the club, right? Even though you kind of were like, there's a community, but not, I mean, but not as like a player. So we ended up having to be under one of the colleges, the computer science school. And Chad was part of that school too. So they kind of, we were a club under them instead of student government, and from there we had the freedom to do what we needed to do. So it was just a bunch of weird red tape rules that we kind of had to weave around in order to get the club infrastructure and system set up exactly how we needed to in order for us to succeed.
Fascinating. And how did RIT, the school body, like the actual faculty, how did they take all of this? Because you guys have been around for a long time, and you guys, I mean, so a lot of times when I see RIT, I also see Rutgers. You guys are both, I mean, at least in the same sphere of the United States over there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get Diego on here one day. He's the one of the dudes over at Rutgers. But how did RIT? Because I mentioned Rutgers because it's essentially a neighbor, and then you have I mean, I don't know if anyone over there like pays attention to esports as far as like the atmosphere of it, but you guys have a lot of decent teams up in that region of not just the United States but North America, between Rutgers, RIT, and then I think Toronto's up at that side. Toronto's up in that side.
Toronto's up in that side, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, and Toronto was one of the most famous teams. League of Legends teams about 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, they and now their players have went on to be phenomenal in the academy and professional League of Legends. I think Invert is now the official coach for FlyQuest, if I recall. But
oh wow,
how did RIT like take the whole esports club thing? Are they aware of it? Did you bring it up to them? How does it? Because you guys, if I recall, and I say you guys as in you, and you're not there anymore, but do they ever get scholarships or anything like that?
Yeah, so the person that I co-founded RIT Esports with was, his name is Evan Hirsch. He's actually the current president, but I think he's graduating this year. Super awesome guy. During the time where RIT Esports itself was trying, okay, so EGS Esports, no one really knew about it outside of the student body. RIT Esports though, because we were really trying to push to get as much out of it as possible from the school in terms of maybe funding, seeing if we could have have it be like considered a varsity club, varsity sports club, um, have facilities that we can possibly borrow and use because we have a game design and development major. And that means we have computer labs filled with really powerful computers that students can practice on. So because we needed a lot more support, we sought that out from the school itself. And I think after initially they were just kind of like, "What is esports? I don't really get it." But thanks to Chad, thanks to a bunch of other professors that did understand who esports was, and them including us in these meetings. I had, dude, during my senior year, every week I had at least like 2 or 3 meetings with some kind of faculty member. I was just going out all the time, meeting up with people, talking to them, teaching them about what esports was, and slowly we got stuff happening. I mean, we got stuff done. For example, one of the biggest accomplishments I felt was during my time there was the introduction of a esports intramural league. Yeah, esports intramural league. And because it was within the same umbrella as intramurals, like a bunch of people started hearing about that and was like, "Whoa, wait, what the heck? Can you get can you get college credit for this and that?" And so it brought a lot of eyes onto esports, RIT esports, and what they were doing. Even though they were two separate things, I still was able to draw some eyes onto esports itself. And that's when administrators who worked closely with student government, with wellness, and a bunch of other separate, I guess, areas within RIT started becoming more interested as news started spreading.
Okay, and do you still keep in contact with any of the? Well, you said Kevin Hirsch. Is he still there as well? He is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I follow him. I don't remember. I think I follow
Evan.
Him. Yeah, I think I do. Is his name Kevin or Evan?
Evan Hirsch.
I think I follow him. Yeah, I
Evan
do.
Extreme with the X.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Certified Hogmaster. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Okay,
doesn't
that's him.
doesn't
Yeah.
follow me back, but you can't win them all. That's fine. But but
Yeah.
so do you what was I gonna ask? Yeah, do you know like what the status is like nowadays? Has it been more progress since you've left? How is it going nowadays? To the best of your ability, I know you not being there directly, you're not gonna have all the answers, but um, like, what is your take on the future that you left it?
Well, for the first episode of my podcast on the Hansei platform, the podcast is called Origins, by the way. And I actually interviewed Evan just to kind of catch up and see how things were. So I was very happy to hear that they are doing super well. The foundation is established. Things are going so well that they almost have nothing to worry about anymore, which kind of freaks them out a little bit
Ooh,
because during the first year or two, there was just a lot of things that needs to be done, a lot of fires to put out, a lot of lessons to be learned, and that was just kind of running like a well-oiled machine. They have, they have like training for casters now, where it's all student ran, of course, but now they're trying to teach people how to cast games. They're teaching people about production, whatever area that anyone's interested in within esports. They kind of have like a little section within RIT esports for that. They have a growing community on Discord and on like IRL itself within the campus. They have jerseys now, which look super sick. They have a whole video production team to make trailers and interviews. They're doing really, really well for themselves.
that seems
I'm
very
super proud.
that sounds very in depth, and that's so.
Yeah.
This is one thing I've also noticed about Collegiate. I mean, I noticed it at the second, yeah, the second Midwest Campus Clash, and I should have noticed it way before, but I only noticed it then, and I've noticed it since then more so. Is that this provide like Collegiate Esports has provided so much. I want to say I don't want to absolutely say extracurricular activities and things for college students, but just things to help um, resume material. It's really helped resume material because now you can start a portfolio. So anyone from RIT, if they have like a whole production staff and everything like that, or even casters, like that's a portfolio. That's starting a portfolio because at Midwest Campus Clash, Maryville University brought a student media person who I think maybe a couple. One of them for sure was around taking photos, and I was like, that's great. They're pretty much, I don't know if they're interning like that or not. I don't know how that works or if that counts as a college credit. But that sort of thing, that's great practice. All this is such great practice that you don't have to even worry about doing it because I mean it doesn't cost anything to do it, and it's part of your more than likely part of the curricular you're going for anyways. You can get some sort of college credit for. Like me, every time I schedule a cast or schedule an interview or anything, I like take time out of my day. And don't get me wrong, absolutely love it, and I do get a lot of fulfillment out of it. But man, this has been really cool to have access to this sort of thing when I was in college, because then I would have been like, I could have used it as experience. It would have been great. And now people actually have that sort of avenue, and I really love seeing that grow. And that's one of the reasons why I love Collegiate so much. Like I don't really dabble in professional that much because you guys already have everything you want. What do you? I mean, what I don't know. It just doesn't seem as inspiring to me. Collegiate though, it is inspiring because of things like this, because of stories like this. And look at the things that you've learned just by starting RIT and going all the way with that. And now, like, obviously you're a pretty driven person. Now you're doing your own business. Like, and I'm wondering, and don't get me wrong, this is no offense to you whatsoever. Would you have had the experience to do this business beforehand? Would you even gotten into OGN if not for your experience at RIT? There's so many building blocks that starts at Collegiate that I love seeing people go beyond and be able to take hold of that and start a portfolio, start a resume, because man, it can really blossom into something beautiful.
The answer is no. Definitely not. I needed RIT. While I will admit that I RIT esports probably itself and working with EGS, doing extracurricular stuff probably has helped me out way more than most of my classes at RIT.
Yeah, it's a hands-on experience. Like you
Yeah,
get all of it right
it's
there.
super hands on, and I was doing stuff that I actually liked and loved, and so my learning, my growth was accelerated by like 10 folds just by doing all that because I was interested in doing that. I did my own homework. I did my own studying. I took all the time. I needed to do this instead of the homework. So, while I graduated with like not very like with okay grades, just average, like it wasn't super amazing or anything,
Yeah,
but
don't worry, man.
the experience I took away from it is just it's so good. And I tell people this all the time, like, yo, if there's something at school within esports that you can do, and your grades might suffer a little bit, but you'll end up graduating with maybe like a C or a B, but not an A. Like, don't worry, because all that experience is way more valuable than grades. During my time working in like the real world and getting actual jobs, I have not. No one has. I don't think anyone's looked at my resume yet, or no one even asked about my grades. They just like what you've done before, And a lot of it is just me is like, yeah, I've done this, I've done that, I know how to do this, and then I've increased my positions within these jobs just by showing initiative and thinking like, okay, how can I do this way better, right? And this was all through like learning to think on my feet and utilizing my critical thinking skills at RIC Esports.
That's called street smarts, and you're able to combine that with the already book smarts you got. So that's actually a really good skill, and that's something I like too. Because fun fact about me, I dropped out of college 3 times. I actually don't have a degree, and I think at my job I replaced somebody who had a degree because I do accounting. I'm an accounts payable at one of the casinos in Vegas. Fun fact about me.
Oh,
Yeah. That's what I do when I don't do esports, which is I mean, I've cut back esports a lot. Like, this is pretty much all I do, and I don't know if I'm going to increase it because I actually really enjoy this podcast. I love, like, I want to get to meet you. I didn't know who you are like 45 minutes ago, and now I have a pretty good familiarity. And this is one of the reasons I started this podcast: reach out to people and also give people an outlet because there's so many people in this scene. That again, past or present esports, collegiate esports, that I don't feel like I have a place to talk. So, yeah. I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but yeah, no. Fun fact: I dropped out of college 3 times. I've went for 3 different degrees, and I didn't like any of them. Maybe besides my journalism degree, and that was actually cool to learn. But I was like, I just don't, and
yeah, like it's whatever, at this point.
yeah,
It's so weird or sad to say, that college nowadays, like I don't really agree with the education system in colleges.
yeah,
And so, but then I do think the collegiate organizations and clubs that you can participate in and help in, because like literally they will take anybody that's willing to help. They won't
yeah.
say no. It's not like the real world where it's like, oh, what job experience do you have? Because you don't. It doesn't take money to run this. It's all student mostly in this current generation, mostly all student ran, and so they need as many hands on deck as possible. They need as many people wanting and willing to learn as possible. So it's super easy to just go in and say, hey, like I want to help. What can I do? And they'll just get you started. It's college is such a great training ground. And if you did have to go and you want to find a major, I would say just take a business major. Like take a
Yeah.
generic ass business major, and you'll actually learn like quite a lot from there that will help you out with whatever you want to do in the future.
Yeah, that's something I was actually talking about with one of my past guests. Is the differences in majors over the years. So used to, and this is especially true with a lot of the players still, but it's been shifting. So there used to be a lot of computer science majors just in esports, and a lot of computer science or anything of that in that sort of realm having to do with the computers. But yeah, now you're starting to see so many more business degrees and students going for players going for business degrees, business administration, business, some sort of entrepreneurial thing, anything like that, because they realize that there's so much money to be made in esports nowadays, and all you need to do is have the savvy and the wherewithal to be able to take advantage of that. And man, that just shows how much it's grown. And more to the point of being just volunteering for gaining experience through actual clubs, like the whole collegiate esports scene while you're in college. I will outright say I have learned way more about the things that I want to do in life just working at CSL than I ever did going to college. And don't get me wrong, college definitely has a place. I mean, I did learn a vast majority I won't say majority, a vast amount of things in college, but man, like I've never worked as hard as I have than I did in esports trying to just get collegiate, make it relevant, do my thing in collegiate. And I've transferred so much of that that drive over to other things in my life, and it really does help. Which is why, again, I think I'm pretty sure I replaced somebody with a degree in my job because it takes a degree, and I don't got one, but I showed that I can do it because I mean I've hustled ever since I dropped out of college, and that was for collegiate esports. And I've transferred that over to a non-esports area in my life, and it's worked out really well. Man, I don't, and I'm wondering how much of that I would have done without esports because before that, like when I first got into esports, and before that, I was just kind of coasting. Obviously, I was like a student, and that's what I thought I would be doing. But man, once you realize that coasting is not going to work out, it's like all right, time to do something. And esports, collegiate esports, was that thing for me. And I can only imagine now. It's like now you actually have legitimate establishments that you can, really put a drive to. Like you can coast, obviously. I mean, there's some teams that just kind of coast and have scholarships. They coast and do their thing. But man, there's so much more drive that you can really put into effect now in these things, in these programs, and in your efforts, and really get tangible results. And that feels good. It makes you want to do it more. And that's kind of how I felt the entire time.
Yeah, if you're results oriented, then that will get you very, very far. It looks good to other people and it feels good yourself when you see results.
Very much so. So going on from RIT, you're in Vegas now. Yeah. So what is in the future for you? You're gonna keep working in your business, or is there any other sort of
No,
ventures that you're going for?
I'm basically gonna keep on expanding with what I got right now. So under Hansei, there is kind of like a sub, um, I guess I could call it a sub brand. I have to figure out how to exactly name it, but it's another one called Kaizen. And Kaizen, it's this. All these terms actually come from like Japanese culture in terms of like self improvement. So Kaizen means continuous improvement, and that sub brand is basically going to be me doing running production. I'm going to be in Vegas. I'll be running events. I'll be helping with like streaming it, producing it. And then on the other hand, I'll be sponsoring, kind of sponsoring. I mean, I can't pay for my brother, but I'll be sponsoring some players, some fighting game players, really talented ones that are my friends, as a kind of test, as a what do you call it? I guess as a test. I want to see if I can make these guys professional fighting game players through other means rather than just like getting good results. I want to basically brand them, make them valuable to others within the space, and show that hey, you can't be a professional gamer without like getting top like 1 second or first place all the time, because that's not statistically that's not viable. You can't get first and second place all the time when games change and just top tier Japanese players. There's a lot of factors, but you can still be a professional by doing other things. So I kind of want to help train these guys into becoming professionals.
Yeah.
So that's another side project that I'm working on. So I'm always working on a bunch of stuff, but everything that I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be documenting the process, and I'm gonna show people the ups and downs, the stuff that I'm learning. So everything that I'm learning, I'm basically learning with the intent to teach. So everything that I do, I'm gonna teach people what went right, what went wrong, how to do it, and just put my knowledge out there.
And as far as the fighting game, I mean, you being into fighting games, has that always been there? Have you been into fighting games since you were young?
Oh, sorry, you're cutting off.
Oh no, sorry about that. Am I better?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So as far as like the fighting games, and this is kind of almost shifting gears a little bit here. Want to talk about more like your fighting games? Like, have you always been into the FGC fighting game community? Have you always been into fighting games or anything like that, or is that just something that you kind of discovered as you got into esports and saw that fighting games are fun as hell?
I've been playing fighting games since I was a kid. I
Okay.
believe my first one of the first video games I played was a fighting game. I'm pretty sure it was Virtua Fighter 2 for the Sega Genesis.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I played.
I
Yeah.
grew up I grew up with all the sequels: Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat 2, Tekken 2. I grew up playing the Marvel games, the really old ones like Marvel Superheroes, X-Men versus Street Fighter, all of that.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, I didn't know the FGC existed. I just loved fighting games as a kid. I played it with my brother all the time. And it wasn't up until maybe like 2 or 3 years ago that I discovered what the FGC was. And I actually put myself into it by becoming a competitor. So I've been playing fighting games for a while, but just up until recently, that's when I started becoming more active within the scene.
You ever go to the I know there's like various little pop-ups. Because I coincidentally have a lot of friends. I don't know if a lot of I have quite a few friends in the fighting game community, and they talk about these little pop-ups that pop up for like little tournaments, like Capcom tournaments, Smash tournaments. Do you ever go to any of those? Are there any of those in Vegas that you attend?
Yeah. Actually, so on Wednesday nights, there's this place called Wolf and Lamb PC, and they host tournaments there. On Wednesdays, oh, they used to go somewhere else on Wednesday, but not anymore. Thursday, oh no no, Tuesday, yeah, Tuesday nights is at GameWorks.
Oh,
Tuesday night
okay.
GameWorks has like free
The
practice.
one next to the
Anyone can
theater.
go in there. Yeah, the one there right
Okay.
under the AMC Town Square.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've
Yeah,
been there.
so a lot of the FGC hangs out there on Tuesday
Oh
nights to
yeah,
practice.
they have an esports room now, don't they?
Yep, and that's where everyone goes to play.
Okay.
Thursday night, there's this place called Press Start Gaming, and Press Start Gaming is a venue that is pretty much like the main hub for grassroots FGC in Vegas. It's run by this guy named Andy. He's been around for like 6 years now, maybe 7, and all like basically the Las Vegas FGC grew up with his store, and so we go there on Thursdays to play in a tournament called Bloodsport. It happens every week. So there's stuff happening every week, and there you'll always find an FGC event to go out to, and I go out to them pretty often, just to compete or say hi or just show face for a little bit and then leave. But yeah, there's a lot to do.
Fascinating. I had no idea. So I knew that they existed, but I didn't know where. It's kind of like vampire clubs. You know, vampire clubs exist. I mean, come on, right? They just don't come out at daytime. But but no,
That's
no,
a good
really.
one.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a Blade movie. You just see a symbol and you know it's there. But no, that's how I felt about the fighting game community. Like I know they're here. I'm just not in it, and I don't know where. Like I know there's like every now and then there's something going on over at Esports Arena, and I think that's mostly like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, I believe, or at least it used to. I don't know. Now I think they just,
Smash,
okay.
Smash is big
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
They do Smash. I actually thought about doing that.
they do
So,
Smash every single week, I believe.
yeah, they do because they're hiring for casters, and I thought about trying my hand at it, but I was like, oh man, I'm getting to the point of casting. It's like I just kind of don't want to do it anymore. I mean, I kind of do, but I kind of don't. I kind of just want to
Hmm.
do it on my own terms. I actually had an idea because you know weed is legal in Vegas. I thought about
Yeah.
just getting high and smoking as I cast and calling it blunt cast because I'm also very straightforward with everything I say. It would be a double entendre as they call it. And I was gonna have one of my friends come on. He agreed to do it with me, knowing the whole premise of it. And
Hmm.
I'm not here to trick anybody, but I was gonna cast some games with him, but smoke as I go, and figure out just see. I've never broadcast. I don't do things intoxicated. Like whenever I have to do something to like professionally, I don't do that. I separate that sort of thing from my professional life. So I've since I've started doing things more on my own, like this podcast, just keeping up with things. I was casting Rainbow Six for a split second too. I thought about doing that on my own, just having a little broadcast, just seeing what it was like broadcasting while I'm smoking marijuana because it's legal here, and I was like, I don't know, like, and I've only recently embraced marijuana, and not because it's legal here, but because like I'm getting to a point in my life. I'm 31 years old. I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm like, A, I'm bored, and B, I'm tired of all of my ailments mentally. So I'm finally doing something about it instead of just being sad all the time. And marijuana helps with my anxiety. So
Mm.
thought about taking advantage of that. And if this one makes you uncomfortable, Peter, feel free to just cut me off if it makes you
Oh no,
uncomfortable
no,
whatsoever.
no, it's fine. I'm
Yeah.
not uncomfortable at all.
Okay. I don't really
It's
know.
really cool to hear what people like to do and how it helps them out. But also, I think it's a very good idea. I actually don't think there's a such thing as like a bad idea. It's just you just have to refine it, and then the execution
Are you
is the
listening
most
to
important
yourself right
thing.
now? So this is why, okay, I had no idea what to talk to you about because you're so positive, and then I'm on Twitter talking about my depressed shit, and I was like, man, this guy's too nice for me. He's like, I don't know, I don't know what the
that's that's not the first time I've heard that.
and I have absolutely no ill will when I say that. It is a
Mm.
compliment, trust me. Not being like me is a compliment. So you're fine, don't worry. But it's like,
Thank you, thank you.
No bad ideas. Come on.
But I think it's funny because there's this dude on Twitch. I think he still streams. His name is Weedman Dota, and he just plays Dota all high, and it's
Yeah.
really funny. So blunt cast, like I like that. I'm a sucker for puns.
Oh, dude,
So
dude.
so the dad joke person inside of me is
I
just
felt
like
so good when I
I'm
thought that
loving the
up.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
Freaking, I love puns too. I felt so good making it up.
Try it out, man. You don't know what happens
You know
until
what?
you try
I'm
it.
going to. I think I'm going to. I'll contact my friend. My friend owns a business over in Atlanta, and I think peak season is starting to die down now. I think I'm going to. I have thoroughly enjoyed podcasting. Every guest I've had, and most of them I don't know. Like, it's one of these situations where I might be meeting them for the first time. I think my first one was like that. It was Matthew Samuelson. The second one, Chase, I think his name's Wasner, who also lives in Vegas. He's a writer for Unicorn. He's the first time I've never met him either, and I gave him the same thing I told you. Like, I'm a very big introvert, and I'm sorry, I don't mean anything by it, but how are you doing, and how the hell do we know each other? Because we followed each other. I don't know why. I've met so many good people through this. So yeah, no, this is.
It's a fun medium. It's a fun medium
really
for sure.
is, and I think I should. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. I really should try it because I've thoroughly enjoyed my first venture, my first actual project that I really wanted to do, even if it's not like grossly popular or anything like that. I don't really care. It's just fun. So yeah.
Yeah.
Man, Peter, it's been great talking to you, dude. Do you have anything else you want to add? You want to talk about anything else?
Oh, excuse me. You cut off again.
I hate cutting off. I don't know why it's doing that. I have a good connection, I think. But either way, I was saying, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to shout out? Anything like that? It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, no, it's been really, really great talking to you too. I've had so much fun. I love having conversations like this. So, but yeah, I mean, if you have nothing else for me, then I'm good. I'm just here to talk about whatever you want to talk about. We flowed. It was nice. If anything, maybe if you talk about Rutgers earlier, get Adam onto the show if you ask him if he has the time.
Adam, what's his last
Yeah,
name? On Twitter.
Adam Bao, but then like on Twitter is Adam Baum.
Oh, I think I've seen him. I always thought that was a clever name.
He was the president for Rutgers.
Yeah, I follow him.
Not too long ago. Yep.
Yeah.
And he's a really cool dude. Now he's working for NYXL.
Okay. Yeah. What is it? Is that a team or is that a brand? Like, obviously a team is a brand, but I've seen NYXL, and I don't.
Oh,
exactly...
that's the New York Excelsior Overwatch team.
That's what they are. Okay.
For the Overwatch League, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were. I've seen NYXL thrown out there before. I don't watch Overwatch, which is one of the reasons why I'm like vaguely familiar with him, but not entirely familiar with him. Okay, good for him. And his profile picture shows him wearing wearing a shirt of them too. Yeah, I follow him. So fun fact, I'm a giant wrestling fan. You may have noticed if you ever pay attention to my tweets.
Oh, he is too. I'm pretty sure he is too.
Because Adam Baum was a wrestler from the 90s.
Oh, is that? Oh, that's. I did not get that.
Yeah.
You obviously did. So you guys could definitely bond over that.
Yeah, I immediately noticed his name. I was like, what? I wonder. Fun world we live in. All right, man. Peter, again, thank you so much for talking. So let's get lunch. This time I actually will follow through. I've broken the ice around me, and I'm good to go. Like, let's get lunch sometime.
Awesome. Oh yeah, but I forgot to ask you this in the beginning, and I don't know why it didn't cross my mind. But Joshua or Josh?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I've been called worse no matter which one of those two you choose.
Well, thank you, Josh, for inviting me onto the show.
No problem, man. Thank you for being on. And yeah, let's do this again sometime. Let's get lunch. Let's do a live podcast sometime. Believe it or not, my Pixel 3 takes great recordings.
So hell yeah, air fist bump because I got a Pixel 3 also. So hashtag Team Pixel.
The camera on that is just amazing.
It is.
One of the main,
mind-blowing.
I actually pursue photography as a hobby, and one of the reasons why I got it was for the camera. And man, it's just phenomenal. I've actually posted some, and I've gotten retweeted by Google Pixel, the Twitter. Not retweeted, but commented on by the Google Pixel Twitter. And I was like, it's so flattering. I took a really good picture of a fly one time with it because I don't know why I love taking pictures of insects because they're always there for me to take pictures of, and I took a really good picture of a fly at work outside with my phone one time, and that's
really cool. I never thought about that, taking pictures of insects because they're always around, but then they're too small to really like notice.
Yeah, but man,
So you're kind of giving them the spotlight. That's kind of cool.
the camera, man, the camera can zoom in on those pretty well. I'll actually show you the picture. Now I'll throw it
Mhm.
up. I'm gonna throw it up. I'm proud of it. It's my podcast. I'm gonna throw it up on the podcast here too.
Dude, yeah, throw it up, man. Do whatever you want to do. That's the beauty of it, right? You do you.
Yeah, man. All right, dude. It was great talking to you. Thank you so much for being on.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Have a good day, dude.
Yeah, you too.
See ya. That was Peter Lam. Absolutely nice dude. Just I don't think I could be a negative person around him, even if I tried. I did try, kind of. You know, I don't. It's second nature to me just to be. I don't like being negative, but it is second nature to me. I'm a cynical person. Peter Lam, I feel like is a total opposite. He mentioned it earlier. I don't know if he used the exact words, but you know, yin and yang. It's it works out, and I have a newfound respect for him. Like I said, I always respected him because I see him on Twitter and I see his positivity, and I'm like, good for you, man. I'm glad that you can be in that mindset. I wish I could be, and you know what? He helps. He does. Like whenever you're talking to him, he's just a nice guy, and that's the sort of thing that pops in your head. It's like, this guy's so nice. I should probably be nice with him. So. Thank you, Peter. So, yeah, it was great having him on. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Joshua Fekes Quest. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/PHEQES. That's at Fekes. I think I did that a little different than I normally do. Might be. Anyway, also in the description below, I'm going to have some of the links to those pages that I mentioned earlier. The C-Star League page. I'm also going to reference the Twitter for Harrisburg University Esports as well as UCI. So you can go check those out. I'll have my Twitter down there as well. And I will also throw up Peter Lam's website that we mentioned mentioned earlier in the podcast. So, yeah, thank you very much once again. I will see you next week. I'm going to go camping. This is going to be great. This is going to be a good weekend. I'm going to go camping in Mount Zion National Park. I think it's called Mount Zion. Either way, Zion National Park up in Utah. Going to go up there driving. Going to go to work very early tomorrow, 6 a.m. Leave at 2 p.m. and just head straight there and spend the weekend in the mountains. It's going to be great. I hope you all have as wonderful of a weekend as I'm going to. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.